Hi everybody. Thanks, Visa, for having me here. I'm a PM on Viva Connections team. I was here a few weeks back and we talked about announcements. And now we will talk about the brand new experience we are bringing to Viva Connections. As Visa mentioned, we have a bit of a technical glitch in my demo tenant. We still have a demo here, but we will be looking at something which is a different environment, MSIT environment, if folks here are familiar with that. The only thing which I will struggle with here is I won't have the edit access, but we will be able to see what the brand new experience looks like. So we don't need to rely on slides, Vesa. We have a real demo working, but the edit capabilities, I'll maybe just talk about how they would show up on different surfaces and different components. Just a quick one line summary of what we are trying to do with the refreshed landing experience for Viva Connections. So this is what I'm calling as a brand new experience, or some folks here are calling it as Viva Connections 3.0. So it's just the brand new capabilities, the refreshed look, or the new experience that we are bringing to Viva Connections. With this new experience, we are planning to introduce several requested new features, including announcements, branding, a revamped resources section, support for new out-of-box cards. And with this refreshed landing experience, we also bring feed back into the viewport. So we got a lot of feedback in the last release that we had. And now with this experience, we bring feedback into the viewport, and we are working on an improved layout of the connections landing page altogether. With that, I will share my screen. So this is Viva Connections app in Teams, and this is the refreshed look of Viva Connections, which we are quickly releasing. As quickly as in a day or two, we will start releasing to targeted release, and we expect to go to GA by early next year. So in January of next year, we expect to release to GA our brand new experience. So as we see on this brand new experience, there are two tabs to begin with. There's a home tab, and we'll talk about the feed tab in a bit. If there was any announcements created, it would show up on the top of this page. Announcement is anything which is time sensitive, and it can be shared with your employees based on audience targeting, and it will always show up on the top as a carousel experience. It's not showing up here, and I could not create it right now for our demo, but I think we saw that in like a few weeks back, and I can also share screenshots of how it will show up on this page. Followed by that is this hero or new spotlight section. So we are bringing feed back into the viewport. So any news from your org news sites will be shown up on this top banner or spotlight section, and I can keep scrolling, or I can click on find more news in connections, which will link me to the feed tab to find other news articles which are not showing up on the carousel on the top. Followed by the new spotlight, we have a dashboard section. So not much is changing here. Folks here on who have used Viva Connections in the past are familiar with the cards that we have, which offer various tools, any trainings that are coming up. So any important tasks that I need to achieve are basically achieved as part of the dashboard cards, which are configured here. Again, these are audience targeted, so nothing changes much here. But we are bringing in inline expansion. So instead of walking you to a see all experience, we will have a see more experience. So we'll load all your dashboard cards inline and expand it on the dashboard. Sorry, any questions? I heard some noise. I'll keep going. Followed by that is a revamped resources section. So this section is evolving, and we are moving away from global navigation. And now each customer will be able to configure resources directly on the resources component. We will have icon support, and we are able to support up to 50 resource links in the resources component for now. And we provide automatic icon suggestions, and anybody can update that the resources icons if needed. Um, I need to refresh this page quickly. So on the bottom of the page is the Viva Suite referral page, which, yes, it's loading now. Some issue that we are hitting this morning. But at the bottom of the page is a Viva Suite referral. So based on the licenses that I have, based on whether an app is enabled or not within within my tenant, I will see a set of other Viva apps I can um, click onto, and I can read their description. Now I wanted to also talk about the feed pivot. So once we have seen the home pivot, we wanted to have a dedicated section for feed. So if I click onto this section, I will be linked into Office feed experience. So we are making updates in the connections feed, and we are going to be relying more on, and we are going to be leveraging, we're going to be betting on M365 feed, and we will see the same ranking, same news articles that are showing in other places like office.com or Edge NTP. So that's one big change we are introducing on the feed pivot itself. Back to the home tab, and we have on the top right corner, we have the link to our home site. So I can go back to my home site as I could in my previous experience. And most of the other options still stay the same. I am able to um, like find anything that I'm looking for, give feedback, get support about. So these are not like the most popular options, but just showing that these options stay. But this is a brand new experience. These are the new components that we are working on, and these would soon be available for our customers to use early next year. Any questions?
As we have a few minutes, so I'm just elaborating here a bit. So there was a question related on the news. Is there a way to, how does the news are getting surfaced here? How do you control which news are getting surfaced in the hero part?
Great question. So on the hero section, I'll talk about what is releasing now, and as part of our work on Viva Connections refreshed experience, we will continue to push out more updates in Q1 of next year. So for this release, we will fetch news from org news sites, from site associated with Viva Connections experience. So if this is a home site backed instance, we will render news from the home site. If as we evolve this experience, we will render news from any org news site. So we will be bringing in two additional features, which is a filtering capability. So for example, in case of Microsoft and LinkedIn, we want the Microsoft Corp Comms to be able to pick which org news sites they want to show news from. So they can go and select Microsoft org news sites, and they can deselect LinkedIn home sites if they would like to. So we will have an additional filtering capability on this news spotlight section. Plus, we are bringing something which is very similar to a pinning feature on news web parts. So the editor or anybody who has edit access on this page would be able to override a news article with any post which is important, which is more relevant. So basically, we render news from any org news sites based on which org news gets selected. Plus, we bring in an override capability if there is something more important that the editor or the admin feels is important for the employees to catch up on.
Excellent. And then if you scroll a bit down on the dashboard area, just to call out this one, a lot of these dashboards, what you're seeing, and these cards, what you're seeing here are actually custom cards, which we're using in Microsoft. There's a lot of good ideas actually here related on pay integration, or in our case, talk about integration and perks integration and all of that. We need to be careful that we don't actually click any of these things because they do show Nancy's personal information. But obviously holidays and all of that. So a lot of this stuff we'll work on internally on figuring out how can we showcase or bring an example implementations of some of these cards available externally as well. But like stock awards or based up, that is a custom card because Microsoft has its own backend systems for the payments, and therefore the integration isn't standardized. But a lot of ideas in here. Also, I think the Praise is a good example of an out-of-the-box card, and the Viva Learning is an out-of-the-box card. A few others are out-of-the-box card there as well. But we are able to build custom cards and custom experiences within the dashboard. And of course, this renders in exactly the same way within a mobile, within a tablet, or within the desktop experience. So it's really optimized for that consistent rendering across the devices.
Yeah. Thanks for adding that, Visa. Just one thing that I wanted to on the last note that you had. So dashboard experience, yes, that's consistent with mobile. The new experience that we are working on, the new components that we are integrating are going to first release on desktop, and mobile will follow in the next quarter. So there will be a state where we'll have this release on desktop first, and we'll have work on mobile following in the next quarter.